everyone, and welcome back to another edition of 90 Stories for 90 Years. This is our campaign to tell the story of fraternities and sororities here at DePaul over the last 90 years, as this is our 90th academic year on campus. So we're interviewing faculty, staff, students, alumni, advisors, you name it. If they've had or played a role in our FSL community, we want to interview them. So we're really excited to have Molly Adams with us here today.
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, Molly currently serves as our Panhellenic President, and she is a member of Delta Gamma. So Molly, why don't you kick us off by introducing yourself, obviously sharing your degree, hometown, chapter affiliation, leadership positions, etc.
Yeah, totally. Hi, everyone. My name is Molly Adams. I am majoring in secondary education with an emphasis on social sciences. I am from Orange, California. I am a member of Delta Gamma. And for DG, I've been director of rituals. I was the vice president of Panhellenic, also known as the Panhellenic delegate last year. And now I am the Panhellenic president. So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Molly, maybe start off by telling us what is the Panhellenic Council and more about your involvement in it, both as like a vice president and then for your own chapter, and then now as a chapter president, a council president. Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so the Panhellenic Council is a Fraternity Sorority Life Council, or FSL, and it oversees all the Panhellenic sororities that we house on campus. So that would be AZD, AOPI, ASA, Alpha Phi, Chi Omega, Delta Gamma, Delta Zeta, and Phi Mu. As a council, it's kind of our job to monitor chapters, make sure everything is like going smoothly. We run recruitment. My role as a president is generally overseeing other members of my board, all of the vice presidents that sit on my board, and being a liaison between advisors and members of other FSL organizations and between chapters. And when I was a Panhellenic delegate, my responsibilities were to go to general body every week, be kind of the liaison between my personal chapter and the Panhellenic community. And so I think that actually prepared me really well for my job that I'm doing now, because I kind of had my like toe in the water of like being the in-between kind of guy. And I'm really glad that I ran for president.
That's awesome. I will say it is so impressive that you were able to list off all 8 Panhellenic sororities and do it so well. I feel like I'm always like, there's this one and this one. So I'm very impressed with your skills there.
Thank you.
So what made you decide to run for a position on Panhellenic?
So like I said, I first got involved with Panhellenic when I was a recruitment counselor, my junior year. And I just kind of on a whim decided to do it. I didn't think recruiting would be like my favorite thing. So I was like, I'll just try and be a recruitment counselor and I'll meet a bunch of people through that. And it was one of the most rewarding experiences I've had in the community. And since then I decided to run for the vice president of Panhellenic in my chapter. And then I met so many people through that. And I just realized how much I loved the Panhellenic community as a whole. Because I had created such a community in my chapter, and I kind of failed to realize prior to that there's this whole community outside of my chapter. And once I had that taste of the community, I couldn't get enough. And so then I decided when I was going to take a 5th year of college that I would want to run for Panhellenic president, because it just seemed like a really awesome job and a really great way to meet people and communicate with other communities as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that you talked about how you kind of had this like moment where you realized that like Panhellenic and sorority life is really like bigger than just one chapter and just your own organization, and that you can really have an influence and a major impact in the sorority experience by serving on this council. And we're really happy, obviously, to have you on the council as well this year. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
We're going to kind of flip to your like personal sorority experience a little bit. So tell us why you decided to join a sorority in the first place.
Yeah, so to be honest, I transferred here as a sophomore, and I quite frankly went through recruitment to make friends. I did not know a single person at DePaul. And I thought it would be the best way for me to meet people. And once I actually started going through recruitment, I realized how much more it was than just friends. And it was sisterhood, and it was philanthropy, and it was community. And it was just, when I walked into Delta Gamma, it was just like walking into a room of people that I knew already. And like I had a unique recruitment experience, and I was really close with one of the women that was on the Panhellenic board. And so it was just like this awesome experience that I didn't realize that I was going to have when I initially decided to join, because I was quite frankly joining just to make friends. And I've gotten so much more out of it than just, a few friends.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny. I hear that phrase commonly, like, oh, I was just joining for friends. I tell people all the time, that is exactly why I joined a sorority. I went to college with very few people that I knew from high school. And I really just wanted to meet people on my campus. And that is such a common story of how people join fraternities and sororities. But I think because once you join, you learn about, like you said, the philanthropy and the community service and the leadership and like all these things, you kind of forget that initial, like, oh, I was just joining for friends. And so people assume that everyone joins for these, like, maybe a little more like altruistic like reasons, right? Like, oh, I wanted these opportunities, but I think a lot of people join just to make friends. And I think that that's like why our organizations were founded, right? Like why Delta Gamma was founded, like for the women on campus at that point in time to make friends and to come together and for a purpose.
Yeah. And when I was going through recruitment as well, I remember saying things like, oh, the philanthropy just sounds so great and stuff like that. And while, I wasn't lying, I didn't actually feel it until I actually joined the community. And I was like, whoa, this actually is a really cool part of it that I wasn't expecting to get so much out of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I didn't even know what the word philanthropy meant during recruitment. And I was like, yes, this is very neat. I don't know what this means though. So you are not alone in that either. But thank you for sharing. Kind of tell me a little bit about what sisterhood means to you now that you're a member of an organization and have been for a few years.
So sisterhood to me is just kind of, I don't know. It's like a sense of unity with the other members of my chapter. And it's not necessarily being besties with everyone in my chapter or having like a super, super deep connection with everyone, but it's just having a support system that you can count on. And if you're in trouble, they will be there for you and you will be there for them. And it's just knowing that we're all similar in the way that we view the world and the way that we want to help other people. And that's kind of the bond that brings us all together.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I really think whenever I was in college, another thing that sorority taught me too was accountability in a space where people cared enough about me to hold me accountable, like for my actions and to help me learn and grow as a person. And I think that you only get that opportunity from the unity that you mentioned and from the people, like being around people who care about you and who care about your growth and who care about your safety. So yeah.
Definitely.
Who in Delta Gamma has made an impact on you during your time in the sorority?
I would say obviously a lot of people have made an impact on my experience in the sorority. But the first person that comes to mind would be my big. I feel like most people say that, but it's so true. Like, her name is Frances Regan, shout out. But she was the first person that I met at any FSL event. Like I went to the involvement fair that was like in the quad, and she was standing at the Delta Gamma table, and she was the first person that came up to me and said, "Hey, what's up?" And like the second I met her, I was like, I want to be in this chapter. Like that is who I want to be. I want to be her. Like, and so just like ever since then, like we've been inseparable. And she graduated last year, so I haven't seen her in a little bit, but we've made such incredible memories together. And, we don't hang out every single day, but like when I got Panhellenic President, she was living in Minnesota and she saw an Instagram post and she called me right away and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you." And, it's things like that. And she studied abroad in Spain, and I went and visited her with my grandbig, and it's just like one of those connections that I wouldn't have made outside of my chapter, and I'm so glad that I know her. And yeah, she's definitely made a really big impact on my experience.
That's so awesome. That's so cool that you all went to visit her while she was studying abroad in Spain. Like that's just like the coolest story. What are some lessons that you've learned from your sorority experience so far?
Yeah, so I think one of the main things I've learned is how important community is to everyone and to myself, because when I went to my first university, I had friends and, you know, I had met people, but I didn't have that sense of community, and I didn't really feel like I belonged somewhere. It was just kind of like I was there. And I think that I have learned so much of that within the Panhellenic community, not even just for myself, but for, you know, other members that may not look like me or have the same privileges as me. Like, we need to provide a community for them where they feel like they belong, and they feel like, you know, this is a community for them as well. It's not just a community for people that look like me or act like me or have the same privileges as me. And so like, that's something that I've learned more recently, just with current events happening and stuff like that, just like how important it is to highlight every member that we have, not just the more general white, straight, you know, members that we have. And those people are great, don't get me wrong, but we have more than just those people, and we need to highlight everyone.
Absolutely. And that sense of belonging is such a crucial part of the sorority experience and what we sell often. And I think you're totally right in that we often sell an experience to a certain type of person who looks and identifies a certain way, when as you said, like, everyone deserves that opportunity for that sense of belonging. And I think as an advisor, it's been really cool to listen to the Panhellenic Council, and especially you all this year, talk about how do we create an inclusive community where people feel like they really belong in our Panhellenic community. And so know that, like, I see the work that you all are doing to enhance that experience for members. And I'm glad that that's a lesson you learned and have continued to learn, but then are also now teaching others as you go through your time in leadership.
Yeah, thank
you. So this is our closing questions, so we're wrapping up our time together, but what is your favorite memory of being a member of your organization?
Of my organization, like of Delta Gamma, I would say definitely visiting my big in Spain. She had become my big like literally 2 weeks before, and then she just left to go to Spain, and I barely knew her at that point. And it was just like, you can come and visit me, like kind of on a whim. And I was like, okay. And I like booked a ticket and I flew out and I saw her. But I think in the Panhellenic community, I mentioned this earlier, being a recruitment counselor was just like the most fun time that I have had in a really long time. Like, I met women from chapters that I would have never interacted with ever for, you know, for no reason in particular, but we just weren't in the same circles and groups, and I didn't even know who they were. And I was partnered with Michelle Reitman from FIMU, and we just like got along so well. And it was just such a fun experience helping all the PNMs find their homes. And it was so cool to be on the other side of it, because I had gone through recruitment the year prior and was so stressed and so like frustrated and tired, and being on the other side of it, it's like you don't like to see them stressed and frustrated and tired, but it's kind of like, okay, everyone goes through like a similar experience, and it's almost more comforting to know that, you know, being on the other side, like kind of seeing how the recruitment counselors are viewing it, and just that it just feels like such a caring kind of time, like between recruitment counselors and PNM and the whole community. So that was definitely like one of my favorite memories that I've had in the Panhellenic community for sure.
That's awesome. Well, I think the story about your visiting Spain to go visit your big is even cooler now, to know that it was like pretty much like an immediate experience. Like, like you all got paired together and you're like, I'm coming to Spain to visit you. That's so funny. But I really appreciate you sharing that story because we are also in the midst of recruitment counselor application season. So a great pitch to any of the Panhellenic women out there listening, if you've ever thought about it. Yeah, wink, wink. Like, it's a great experience, but not like in the meme way that's going around right now, like a literal great experience. But it's so funny that you say that you met some of your like close friends from that experience. I remember being in college, and that's the exact same experience I had in my I ran for office in Panhellenic too. And I still to this day keep in touch with some of the women who I served as a recruitment counselor with, and then ended up serving on Panhellenic Council with. So I think that's
one of the greatest experiences. I highly recommend that everyone apply to be a recruitment counselor if you can, if you're eligible.
You heard it here, friends. Make sure that you apply to be a recruitment counselor. Well, Molly, thank you so much for talking with us today and sharing more about your sorority experience and your time with Panhellenic. I really appreciated learning more about you and about your time here. Yeah, but that's what we have for you all today. Make sure that you all keep an eye out for the rest of our 90 Stories for 90 Years. They will go all through the academic year and probably into the summer. So you'll have some summer entertainment as well. But thank you again for hopping on, and we will see you all soon. Bye.
Thanks.